Have you ever been left feeling completely shattered by someone you trusted, only to wonder if the universe would ever make things right? It's a question that keeps running through your mind long after the betrayal has occurred. You replay every word, every moment, every lie, and every cold shoulder. You ask yourself how someone who claimed to care could hurt you so deeply and then walk away without any sign of remorse. It's not just heartbreak. It's a violation of trust, an emotional wound that seems almost impossible to heal. But deep down, a part of you knows that life has its own way of balancing things, even if you can't see it yet. There's a reason the universe allows certain people to enter our lives and test our boundaries, and there's a reason it allows others to face the consequences of their actions in ways they may never fully understand. The first thing to understand is that people who betray and manipulate are rarely equipped to deal with the aftermath of their own choices. Their avoidance, their inability to connect, and their tendency to put their own needs first often mean that they leave trails of pain behind them wherever they go. They might try to hide it, bury it, or distract themselves with superficial successes, but the weight of what they've done doesn't disappear. You see, the universe has a way of reflecting back energy that is harmful or selfish. It doesn't matter how clever someone thinks they are at avoiding accountability. The energy of betrayal eventually catches up. It might come in the form of failed relationships, financial struggles, emotional emptiness, or even the quiet whisper of guilt that refuses to let them rest. The signs can be subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but for those who have been hurt, there's often a sense that justice is quietly at work. And that brings us to the first of the three signs that karma is already reaching them. One of the most telling signs is when life itself starts to become unexpectedly difficult. You may have noticed moments when they struggle with things that once came easily, relationships falter, opportunities slip away, or challenges arise that feel almost like invisible walls blocking their path. This isn't punishment in the traditional sense, it's more of a natural consequence, the ripple effect of energy set in motion by their own actions. Every choice to betray, every decision to avoid responsibility creates a subtle shift in the universe that eventually makes itself known. It's not about revenge, it's about balance. And the universe doesn't miss a single misalignment. Sometimes the challenges are external and obvious. You might hear about their professional setbacks, their failed attempts at connection, or the social isolation they experience. Other times, the struggles are internal, a quiet anxiety or persistent dissatisfaction that gnaws at them from within. You can see this in the way their energy changes, the way they carry themselves, and the way the world seems to respond differently to them than it once did. Life has a unique way of forcing reflection on those who choose to harm others, often through repeated challenges that seem to mirror the emotional pain they caused. Every betrayal leaves a mark, and every mark eventually finds its reflection in reality. It's hard to watch someone who hurt you suffer, especially when your emotions are still raw, and part of you might feel conflicted. But it's important to recognize that their difficulties aren't about your pain, they're about their own energy coming full circle. Karma is subtle, and it works through natural consequences rather than overt punishment. It is not your responsibility to make them suffer, nor is it your duty to witness every consequence. The universe has a perfect way of balancing itself, and the very energy they put into causing harm is the same energy that begins to return to them in ways they cannot avoid. The second sign that karma is hitting those who betrayed you is emotional emptiness. People who are avoidant often rely on keeping themselves at a distance emotionally. They detach, they withdraw, and they protect themselves from vulnerability. While this may have helped them survive emotionally in certain contexts, it also prevents them from experiencing true connection or fulfillment. When they betray someone, it is rarely just a single act. It is a demonstration of their inability to genuinely engage with love, trust, and intimacy. And when karma comes knocking, it shows up in the form of inner voids, a gnawing emptiness that no amount of distraction or control can fill. This emptiness can manifest in ways that are visible to those who have been hurt. They may surround themselves with people but never feel truly connected. They may chase success, pleasure, or recognition only to find that it feels hollow. There's a persistent restlessness, a sense that something essential is missing, and no matter how hard they try to ignore it, it lingers. You might notice subtle cues in their behavior, a nervous energy, an inability to sustain deep friendships, a frequent irritation or impatience with those closest to them. These are not coincidences, they are natural reflections of the emotional imbalance created by their own actions. You, on the other hand, may feel vindicated simply by witnessing these shifts, but it's crucial to approach it with awareness rather than malice. The beauty of karma lies not in punishment, but in alignment. The emptiness they feel is a mirror of the void they created in others' lives through betrayal. It is the natural law of reflection, showing them exactly what it feels like to hurt without consideration, to betray without remorse, and to avoid the very connections that make life meaningful. This is a profound sign, one that often becomes clearer over time as their attempts to fill the void fail and the consequences of their avoidance become increasingly unavoidable. The third sign, and one that is often hardest to ignore, is the deterioration of reputation and the exposure of true character. People who betray and manipulate often rely on a carefully crafted image to navigate the world, a mask that conceals selfishness, lies, or emotional neglect. But karma has a way of peeling back the layers. The world begins to see through the facade, and those who were once deceived start to notice cracks in the persona. Social circles shift, trust erodes, and the consequences of past actions become increasingly visible. When someone's true character is exposed, it is not just a reflection of who they are, but also a reflection of the energy they projected into the world. The betrayals they committed cannot remain hidden forever. Gossip, natural consequences, and the quiet observations of those around them all begin to converge in a way that reveals the truth. And while you may feel a sense of justice in seeing this unfold, it is not about satisfaction or revenge. It is about the universal law that ensures alignment between action and consequences. For those who have been betrayed, this can be a profound source of emotional closure. It reassures you that the pain was not meaningless, that the world does have a way of balancing itself, and that your healing is supported by the natural order of things. Even when they attempt to manipulate perception, to charm or deceive, karma works in subtle ways. Opportunities that once came easily may vanish. People who once supported them may withdraw. Situations that once seemed stable may become uncertain. Each moment of exposure, each consequence that arises, is a reflection of energy returning to its source. And while this is happening, you have the chance to shift your focus away from bitterness and towards your own growth. Observing the alignment of their actions and consequences can provide clarity, helping you to fully step into your own power and leave the past behind. By recognizing these signs, the external challenges, the inner emptiness, and the crumbling reputation, you begin to understand that karma is not abstract or mystical. It is a natural response to energy that has been set in motion. Betrayal creates imbalance, and the universe has its ways of restoring harmony. For you, this awareness is empowering. It validates your experience, strengthens your resolve, and opens the door to healing. You can acknowledge that the person who hurt you is facing the natural results of their actions without carrying the weight of anger or resentment. This shift in perspective is transformative, helping you to reclaim your energy and focus on what truly matters: your own growth, your own healing, and your own journey toward fulfillment. And perhaps most importantly, this understanding allows you to release the need for revenge. You no longer have to seek justice in ways that drain you emotionally, because the universe has already set the wheels in motion. You can find peace in knowing that the imbalance caused by betrayal will correct itself, that the consequences they experience are a reflection of their own choices, and that your own healing is both possible and inevitable. As you observe these signs, remember that your journey is about empowerment, not punishment. The universe is simply ensuring that the energy of betrayal is met with alignment, and in doing so it supports you in stepping into a space of clarity, strength, and emotional freedom. By paying attention to these early signs, you can begin to feel the subtle shift of justice at work. You notice it in the way they stumble, the way their relationships falter, the way their inner life feels restless and unsatisfying. You notice it in the small ways the world begins to respond differently to them. These signs are not always dramatic, but they are unmistakable to those who have been affected by their actions. They serve as reassurance that life has a way of balancing itself, that energy always finds its reflection, and that you too are part of that cycle of growth and alignment. As the emptiness within them grows, you may notice the subtle ways it begins to affect their daily life. It shows up in moments that seem almost insignificant, but carry weight if you know what to look for. They might flinch when confronted with emotional intimacy, withdraw suddenly from conversations that require vulnerability, or cling to distractions that prevent them from facing their own internal void. This is not just coincidence. It is the universe guiding them through consequences they can no longer ignore. And while it can be tempting to feel satisfaction from their discomfort, the deeper truth is that this is a reflection of energy and balance. What they once disregarded now becomes unavoidable. In many ways, emotional emptiness is more powerful than external consequences because it cannot be escaped. Material success can mask it for a time. Superficial relationships may provide temporary relief, but the inner void persists. You may even sense it when they attempt to reach out for connection. They try, but it feels hollow, like they are chasing something they can't quite grasp. The very energy they sent out into the world in betrayal and avoidance returns to them as a quiet dissatisfaction, a restless ache that cannot be filled with what the world has to offer. This is the subtle, often invisible force of karma at work. It teaches lessons internally as much as externally, ensuring that their actions are mirrored back in ways that demand reflection. Meanwhile, for you, the emotional distance that once caused such pain now serves as a lens for clarity. You can observe these signs without being consumed by anger or desire for revenge. You can witness the natural consequences of their actions while still nurturing your own healing and growth. There is power in stepping back and acknowledging that the universe has a way of restoring balance, that energy never disappears, and that the betrayal you experience does not define your path forward. You can feel validated not only in your experience but in the natural unfolding of justice that is quietly occurring, a reassurance that pain and deceit do not go unnoticed. The third undeniable sign of karma comes in the form of reputation and social consequences. People who betray often rely on a carefully constructed image to navigate the world. They manipulate perceptions, present only the side of themselves that serves them, and hide the parts that might reveal their selfishness or cruelty. But karma has a way of stripping away the illusions, of revealing what has been hidden from view. Slowly, often subtly, their true character becomes evident. Others begin to notice inconsistencies, trust erodes, and the network of relationships they once relied on starts to shift. This is not a random occurrence. It is a reflection of the energy that they put out into the world. You might witness this in social circles where they once held influence or trust. People begin to pull away, conversations become guarded, and opportunities that were once abundant begin to diminish. The mask that once protected them from accountability starts to crack, and the truth of their actions becomes increasingly visible. What is remarkable is that this happens naturally. It doesn't require intervention or manipulation on your part. Karma is patient and precise, revealing consequences in ways that align with the energy of their own choices. It is the universe quietly restoring balance, ensuring that actions of betrayal and avoidance meet reflection in the world they inhabit. In addition to social consequences, there are subtle but profound shifts in the way they experience life. Doors that once opened effortlessly may now remain closed. Support that was once dependable becomes scarce. Small failures or unexpected obstacles accumulate, creating a pattern of disruption that mirrors the emotional disruption they caused in the lives of others. And yet this is not intended as punishment. It is the natural result of alignment, the universe ensuring that the energy of their actions is met with proportionate reflection. For those who have been betrayed, this can feel like a long-awaited confirmation that justice exists, even if it unfolds slowly and quietly. Another key indicator is the internal struggle they begin to experience when the consequences of their actions become unavoidable. They might attempt to deflect, to rationalize, or to distract themselves from what they are feeling, but it is impossible to escape the reflection of their own choices. Loneliness, guilt, and dissatisfaction become daily companions, patterns, they may find themselves unable to trust others, struggling to form genuine bonds, or facing repeated failures in areas where they once felt confident. These are not coincidences. They are the universe's way of ensuring alignment between action and consequence, a karmic echo of the energy they sent into the world through betrayal. As this process unfolds, subtle patterns emerge that are unmistakable to those who have been hurt. Repeated challenges, recurring feelings of dissatisfaction, and an inability to achieve fulfillment all point to a reality shaped by their own choices. It's important to recognize that these signs are not about your desire for revenge. They are about understanding the natural flow of energy and accountability. When someone causes harm, the universe ensures that energy is mirrored back in a way that promotes growth, reflection, and eventual alignment. And as these patterns become clearer, you may feel a profound sense of validation, knowing that the pain you endured was not meaningless, and that the balance of the universe is quietly at work. One of the most subtle yet powerful signs of karma is the way it forces reflection through repeated patterns. Life begins to present similar challenges over and over until lessons are learned, until understanding emerges, and until choices are aligned with integrity. Someone who betrays others may find themselves facing similar betrayals, misunderstandings, or disappointments. They experience firsthand the emotional turbulence that comes from dishonesty and avoidance. These patterns can appear frustratingly repetitive to them, but they are in fact precise opportunities for the universe to mirror energy back for reflection. This process ensures that learning occurs on a level that cannot be ignored, internalized, or avoided. You may also notice that their attempts to manipulate or control situations become increasingly ineffective. The strategies that once allowed them to avoid accountability no longer work. People see through the facade. Circumstances resist their efforts, and the sense of ease and control they once enjoyed begins to diminish. These subtle disruptions are a reflection of the imbalance created by betrayal, an invisible but undeniable confirmation that energy always seeks alignment. For those who were harmed, observing this can be deeply validating. It reminds you that life has its own way of ensuring justice, that pain does not disappear into the void, and that consequences are unfolding even if they are not immediately visible. Guilt, too, becomes a companion that cannot be ignored. Even if they attempt to bury it under layers of rationalization or distraction, the internal reflection of their actions surfaces as discomfort, restlessness, or unease. The emotional weight of betrayal, avoidance, and manipulation does not vanish. It lingers, reshapes their behavior, and reminds them of what was lost through their own choices. This invisible weight is one of the most profound mechanisms of karma because it does not rely on external circumstances to exert influence. It reminds them constantly that energy is never lost, that actions are mirrored, and that emotional imbalance must eventually be addressed. And then there are the missed opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere. Situations that could have brought growth, success, or happiness remain just out of reach. Connections that once seemed natural fail to materialize. Moments that could have brought fulfillment slip away without explanation. These are not random occurrences, they are manifestations of energy responding to imbalance. The universe orchestrates circumstances that reflect the natural consequences of betrayal, avoidance, and selfishness. In this way, karma is not a punishment but a teacher, revealing the consequences of actions in ways that demand attention, reflection, and ultimately, transformation. At the same time, it's crucial for you, the observer, to remember that these signs are not about revenge. They are about alignment, balance, and reflection. Your focus does not need to be on the pain of the other person, but rather on your own healing and empowerment. Observing karma in action allows you to feel validated without being consumed by anger, bitterness, or the need to control outcomes. You can acknowledge that natural consequences are unfolding, that the energy of betrayal is being mirrored, and that the universe is ensuring balance. This perspective is liberating. It frees you from carrying the weight of resentment, while still allowing you to feel justice in its quiet, natural form. By understanding these signs, the internal emptiness, the social exposure, the repeated patterns, the subtle disruptions, and the weight of guilt, you begin to see a clear picture of karmic alignment. You realize that betrayal is not meaningless, that avoidance and manipulation do not escape reflection, and that the universe has a way of correcting imbalance in ways that are precise, inevitable, and often quietly profound. Observing these patterns strengthens your emotional resilience, reinforces your boundaries, and supports your journey toward healing. It reassures you that life is fair in its own way, and that pain, deceit, and betrayal do not go unnoticed or unbalanced. As the universe quietly restores balance, there are signs that may go unnoticed by many but are unmistakable to those who have been hurt. The patterns of karma often manifest as repetitive cycles, situations that seem eerily familiar, challenges that resurface in different forms, and emotional confrontations that echo past experiences. For the avoidant who betrayed, these cycles are impossible to ignore. They are forced, time and again, to face aspects of themselves they tried to hide or suppress. These repetitive circumstances are not coincidences. They are precise lessons designed to awaken awareness, to teach responsibility, and to reveal the long-term consequences of choices made in selfishness or avoidance. You, having endured the betrayal, can watch these cycles unfold with clarity, recognizing that life has its own way of ensuring balance. One subtle sign is the sudden realization of emotional emptiness in contexts where it previously went unnoticed. The avoidant may find themselves in the middle of a room full of people, yet feel profoundly isolated. Even familiar routines fail to bring comfort, and achievements that once seemed fulfilling feel hollow. This is the universe reflecting back what they have created in the lives of others. The emotional void left by betrayal and avoidance now appears in their own experiences. The pain they once inflicted is mirrored in the form of disconnection and dissatisfaction. And while it may seem small, this quiet, gnawing emptiness is a powerful teacher, gently nudging them to confront the consequences of their choices. Another recurring pattern is the struggle to maintain stability in relationships. The connections they once relied upon to create comfort or support begin to falter. Friends may drift away, partnerships may crumble, and trust becomes increasingly difficult to earn. Every betrayal leaves a ripple, and the avoidant is now navigating the reality of being on the receiving end of fractured trust. These repeated experiences are not random. They are the natural unfolding of energy returning to its source. And from your perspective, observing this can feel like a quiet validation of the pain endured. It reassures you that imbalance cannot persist indefinitely and that the consequences of actions will naturally manifest over time. There are also moments where the avoidant's internal world becomes a mirror of their past behaviors. They may struggle with guilt even when it is unconscious. Sleep becomes restless, moments of reflection bring unease, and decisions that once felt simple now carry emotional weight. This is the inner voice of karma, the emotional intelligence of the universe prompting them to consider the impact of their actions. For someone who was betrayed, recognizing this inner reckoning can be profoundly satisfying, not from a place of revenge, but from the understanding that the energy they set into motion is being acknowledged and balanced. It is a reminder that the universe does not forget, and that the emotional consequences of betrayal are inescapable. Financial and professional challenges often begin to appear in subtle but unmistakable ways. Doors that once opened easily may now remain closed. Opportunities that previously seemed within reach may slip away without explanation. Even small setbacks may accumulate, creating a sense of frustration and instability. These challenges are not random misfortunes, they are manifestations of energy responding to imbalance. The avoidant, having acted selfishly or dishonestly, now experiences the natural consequences of that behavior. And while this may appear external, it is deeply connected to the internal energy they have cultivated, the imbalance in their relationships, their emotional disconnection, and the betrayal they inflicted are reflected back as obstacles in their external life. Perhaps the most striking aspect of these karmic signs is their subtlety. Unlike dramatic revenge or overt punishment, the universe often works quietly, through small, persistent nudges. These moments accumulate over time, creating a web of lessons that cannot be ignored. Every failed attempt at connection, every moment of loneliness, every missed opportunity is a gentle but firm reminder of alignment. From your perspective, these patterns can be deeply validating. They demonstrate that life is not arbitrary, that betrayal does not go unnoticed, and that the universe has a meticulous way of restoring balance. Observing these subtleties allows you to feel a sense of justice without being consumed by bitterness, reminding you that empowerment comes from perspective, not revenge. The avoidant may also face the challenge of seeing others succeed while feeling stagnant themselves. This comparison can be uncomfortable, even for someone who previously dismissed or undermined the achievements of others. The universe often uses this dynamic as a mirror, reflecting what was once disregarded or devalued. They may experience envy, frustration, or resentment, all of which are natural consequences of their past behavior. From the outside, you may notice these reactions subtly: irritation at the success of others, sudden defensiveness, or difficulty maintaining composure in seemingly ordinary situations. Each of these moments is a reflection of the energy they created and serves as an indirect but powerful confirmation of karmic alignment. The erosion of influence and trust is another undeniable sign. People begin to see through their facade, inconsistencies in behavior become apparent, and the avoidant's carefully constructed image begins to crumble. Opportunities for leadership, collaboration, or meaningful relationships diminish. While they may attempt to regain control, the underlying energy of past betrayal makes this increasingly difficult. Every interaction, every attempt at connection carries the weight of unresolved choices. Observing this from the perspective of someone who has been betrayed can be profoundly affirming. It is a reminder that the universe's law of cause and effect is impartial and precise, and that no action, no matter how well concealed, escapes reflection. There are also internal moments of confrontation that occur unexpectedly. The avoidant may feel sudden pangs of regret, flashes of guilt, or uncomfortable memories that resurface without warning. These are not random intrusions. They are the universe prompting reflection, ensuring that energy is balanced internally as well as externally. The experiences they ignored or manipulated in others now demand recognition within themselves. And while these moments may seem small or fleeting, they accumulate, reinforcing the natural consequences of their choices. For those observing from the outside, these instances provide a quiet reassurance. The emotional ripple of betrayal is being mirrored, and alignment is unfolding naturally. Another layer of karmic reflection manifests in their inability to control outcomes as they once did. Situations that previously bent to their will now resist manipulation. Friends, colleagues, and partners respond differently than expected. Plans fail to materialize. Small setbacks accumulate into patterns that disrupt stability. This loss of control is deeply frustrating for someone accustomed to avoidance and manipulation. It is, however, a powerful mechanism of karma, reminding them that the energy they put into creating imbalance cannot be escaped. From your perspective, these moments are validation that life is meticulously fair, even if justice unfolds quietly and without fanfare. As these patterns continue, a shift often occurs in the avoidant's perception of themselves. They may begin to feel restless, dissatisfied, or disillusioned with their own strategies for avoiding emotional accountability. What once provided comfort, detachment, manipulation, and self-protection now feels hollow. Even attempts to distract themselves with superficial pleasures fail to provide lasting satisfaction. This internal unrest is one of the most profound karmic lessons because it forces them to confront the consequences of betrayal at the deepest level, within their own emotional landscape. For you, witnessing this process can be empowering. It serves as confirmation that energy always returns to its source and that the universe has a subtle yet precise way of ensuring alignment. The universe also uses the reflection of others' perceptions as a mirror. When trust erodes and social connections falter, the avoidant begins to understand, on some level, the isolation and disconnection they created in the lives of others. They experience firsthand what it means to have broken bonds, lost respect, and diminished influence. These social consequences, though often indirect, are a crucial part of the karmic process. They reveal that betrayal and avoidance do not simply vanish. They reverberate through relationships, ultimately demanding acknowledgement. From your perspective, these shifts offer quiet reassurance. Justice does not require action on your part. It unfolds naturally, guided by the precise and impartial law of cause and effect. Finally, all of these signs, the subtle disruptions, repeated patterns, internal unrest, social consequences, and reflections of guilt come together to create a holistic picture of karmic alignment. The avoidant who betrayed is not simply facing punishment. They are navigating a reality that mirrors the energy they have created. Each challenge, each moment of dissatisfaction, each fractured relationship is a reflection of choices made without regard for others. And as these consequences accumulate, the universe ensures that balance is restored, energy is aligned, and lessons are absorbed. Observing this process allows you to feel validation, empowerment, and closure without being consumed by bitterness. You can recognize that the betrayal you experienced has not gone unnoticed, that justice exists in subtle but undeniable ways, and that your healing is supported by the natural order of life. As you observe the subtle and unmistakable signs of karma unfolding, it becomes clear that this is not about revenge. This is about alignment, about balance, about the natural order that ensures every action is met with its reflection. And here lies the first lesson for you. True empowerment comes not from wishing ill upon someone who betrayed you, but from understanding that the universe has its own perfect way of restoring justice. You no longer have to carry the burden of resentment or obsess over whether they will face consequences. The energy they released into the world, through betrayal, avoidance, and manipulation, is already returning to them in ways both subtle and profound. And as you witness this, you can begin to reclaim your own power, your own peace, and your own emotional freedom. Empowerment, in this context, is deeply personal. It is the realization that you are no longer defined by the betrayal, that your self-worth is independent of their actions, and that your life does not need to be consumed by anger, grief, or bitterness. By observing karma at work, you are reminded that balance exists beyond human intervention, that the universe has mechanisms to restore harmony, and that your energy is best spent nurturing your own growth. You can step forward with confidence, knowing that justice is unfolding in its own time. This is the kind of empowerment that is unshakable, the type that cannot be influenced by external chaos or the manipulations of others. As you begin to focus on your own healing, you may notice a subtle shift in perspective. The pain of betrayal, while still present, becomes less like a chain and more like a teacher. You start to see that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of heartbreak was a stepping stone toward clarity, resilience, and emotional depth. Karma, in its quiet but precise way, allows you to step back from the drama and recognize that the universe is working in your favor, even when it seemed like chaos was reigning. You begin to understand that the avoidant who betrayed you is facing the natural reflection of their actions, while you are free to cultivate self-love, boundaries, and inner peace. This healing focus is critical. It shifts your energy away from bitterness and toward growth. It encourages reflection on what you truly deserve, what relationships are worthy of your energy, and what kind of life you want to build for yourself. You may start to see the patterns in your own life, the lessons hidden within the pain, and the ways you can protect yourself from future harm. Karma acts as a mirror, showing both the consequences for others and the opportunities for your own transformation. By embracing this perspective, you reclaim agency over your life, refusing to let past betrayal dictate your future and stepping into a space of empowered choice. The lessons learned through observing karma can be profound. You realize the importance of boundaries and self-respect, understanding that trust is a gift, not a right, and that emotional safety is paramount. You see the necessity of discerning who deserves your energy, and you become attuned to the subtle signs of avoidance, manipulation, or deceit in others. Most importantly, you understand that betrayal, while painful, can catalyze growth. It teaches resilience, discernment, and self-compassion. It reminds you that your journey is yours alone, and that emotional empowerment comes from understanding, not revenge. Watching karma unfold is not about reveling in someone else's misfortune. It is about recognizing the natural alignment of life and letting that awareness support your own healing process. There is also a lesson in patience. Karma rarely unfolds on our timetable. The universe operates with precision, ensuring that consequences match actions perfectly, often in ways that are subtle or delayed. You may feel frustrated or impatient, hoping for visible signs of justice, but true balance is rarely instantaneous. This teaches you to trust the process, to trust in the energy you have cultivated, and to trust that your own healing is progressing even when the external world seems chaotic. In observing the avoidance journey, you learn that alignment is inevitable and that patience, reflection, and focus on your own growth are the keys to emotional liberation. As these lessons become integrated, the narrative of your experience transforms. Betrayal no longer defines you, it shapes you. You recognize your own strength, your own discernment, and your ability to navigate relationships with wisdom. The signs of karma in the avoidant, the external challenges, internal emptiness, social consequences, repeated patterns, and subtle disruptions become markers of truth, validation that your pain was real and that the imbalance created is being addressed by forces beyond human control. This awareness allows you to step into your own power, confident that the universe's justice is unfolding while you cultivate peace, love, and fulfillment. Recap is important because it helps solidify understanding. The first unmistakable sign that karma is at work is life becoming harder for the avoidant. The external challenges, repeated failures, and obstacles that naturally arise from their own choices. The second sign is emotional emptiness, a gnawing void that no material distraction can fill, reflecting the disconnection they caused in others. The third is the erosion of reputation and social consequences, as the world begins to see through their facade and relationships falter in alignment with past actions. These three signs, though they may manifest subtly or dramatically, demonstrate that energy always seeks balance and that betrayal and avoidance do not go unnoticed. Beyond these main signs, subtle indicators include repeated patterns, internal unrest, and missed opportunities. The avoidant faces consequences both internally and externally, often without realizing the source of their discomfort. Guilt, envy, and frustration become companions, while doors that once opened easily now close without explanation. These subtleties are reminders that life is meticulous in restoring alignment, and that every action carries a reflection, whether immediate or delayed. From your perspective, observing these patterns reinforces clarity, validation, and emotional empowerment. And finally, the ultimate takeaway is the focus on your own journey. Karma ensures that balance exists for others, but your power lies in how you respond. You have the choice to nurture healing, embrace growth, and cultivate self-respect. The universe has already set the wheels in motion for justice. Your task is to step into your own freedom. By doing so, you are not only honoring yourself, but also demonstrating the profound wisdom of living in alignment, trusting the process, and refusing to let betrayal define your story. As you close this chapter, you are invited to reflect on what you have learned, to acknowledge your strength, and to step boldly into your own future. The avoidant who betrayed will continue to face the natural reflection of their actions, and you will continue to thrive in the space of emotional clarity, self-worth, and empowerment. Your healing is not dependent on their suffering. It is a choice you make, supported by the universe, guided by the lessons of experience, and strengthened by the understanding that karma is precise, inevitable, and beautifully impartial. And here is your call to action, the final step in this journey of emotional empowerment. If this message resonates, share your experience in the comments, connect with others who understand the pain of betrayal, and allow your story to inspire healing and growth. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the subtle signs of karma, the dynamics of avoidance, and the ways in which the universe restores balance in relationships. Remember, you are not powerless. You are the observer, the healer, and the one who rises above, empowered by awareness, clarity, and the unwavering truth that life always seeks equilibrium. As this video comes to a close, take a deep breath and embrace the knowledge that your pain has purpose, that your strength is evident, and that your emotional journey is guided not by the actions of others, but by your own choices to heal, grow, and thrive. Karma is at work, but your focus remains on yourself, on your boundaries, on your peace, and on your fulfillment. The universe ensures that balance is restored for all, but your greatest victory lies in your ability to rise above, to remain centered, and to live in alignment with your truth. Let the lessons of betrayal, avoidance, and karmic justice guide you toward empowerment, clarity, and a life filled with meaningful connections, self-respect, and peace of mind.